Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at the image splitting example once again, but I'll kind of expand on the idea. And then this time, we're not gonna do the image splitting manually. We're just gonna be using this script. So I spent a little bit of time just writing this code. It's simpler than I thought because most of the scripts are available online and but I just put them together, and then there are only few procedures, like few steps in order to split image into like a multiple bar of image, like this one, for example. So this makes everything really easy, and we can split the image in either horizontally or vertically, and apparently this can be really useful. For example, this kind of effects that I make using animation nodes. So you see that kind of effects, kind of like refilling, but in a stripes kind of way. Like if you imagine you're cutting an image, slicing it evenly into, I don't know, like hundreds of pieces, and then you kind of refill one by one like a bar, or you can even animate it like with using music. That might be useful. That can be the next idea. But anyway, it's quite simple actually. But if you follow the live noding up until this time, this should be pretty easy. Like I can give you the rundown of the actual setup that I have here to get this kind of effects. Here I have the offset of the time, so I can set the beginning of time. So okay, yeah. Anyway, basically, say I have an image file, import. So I'll give you the demo. It's let's get one of the dog image that I have. So we have this, and this is a single image, just made of this quad, just a plane, simple plane with 4 edges, and this already have texture. Okay, and then this script that I made, I have few sources, including blenderscripting.blogspot.com.au and then Blender Stack Exchange. Very useful. You find almost like answers over there. I just gonna run the script. Basically, the important part is the number of cuts. In this case, let's make it small for starter. 10 cuts. Edge index 1 or 2. I think even or odd number will give you either vertical or horizontal. So I'm gonna make 2 of this guy, and let's say I'm just gonna cut it here. Just run the script. What's gonna happen is it's gonna split these objects. Oh, apparently this one gives you the vertical subdivisions. 10 cuts, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have 11 parts now. And the script also kind of set the origins to geometry, so each one of them is a new object, and then we also group it. Here I'm just group it, give it a name, mygroup.000. Once it's done, you know, you can just simply animate it using animation nodes, and we're gonna kind of animate each object's parts separately, one by one. So I simply just assign the group, and we get the effects. Probably the effects is a bit slow at the moment, yeah, but you get that effect, and that effect is basically pretty simple. So we have these objects. First, I'm sorting the objects by the directions of the axis, the world axis. So this one is minus y, so it's sorting the objects from up to the bottom. And then we're gonna be using this object list and doing the loop. Inside the loop, it might look complex at first, but if you are already get used to animation nodes, this is really simple. Basically, um, let's study this. So you have these objects, and then this is for each object we're gonna transform the scale. So any animations that's just using the transformations of the objects like location, rotations, and scale is actually the most basics, and it's simple, but it's it can be quite interesting as well. In this case, we're just animating the object scaling in the x-axis. You see, this is the vector of the scale, and we're just animating in the x. The y we can animate as well if you want. If I just switch this result to the y, you will see we get kind of like a blind openings kind of effects because we are scaling it in y. So it's just a scaling. You can also use location, rotations. With the scale itself, I'm just animating the float with a little bit of interpolations, bounce interpolations, give that a little bit of extra details. Actually, back is quite nice. It's always like it gives like this nice settle kind of animations. Just wait a little bit. See, it's opening up, and it's supposed to be doing the settle. If I use this on the x-axis, so each bar, its stripes will open up and then kind of overshoot a little bit and then settle. So that's nice, really nice effects. What's next? We have the offset. We have the frame coming into this guy, and then delay time provide the offset for each bar. Okay, no matter how many bar we have, it's easy to recreate. So let's say, okay, for these objects we want to do the same thing, but we want to maybe slice it vertically. We just change the option here, edge index to 1, and then slice. Let's have like a lot of slice, a lot more, like 50 slice this time. So just run, select the object we want to slice. It will work. Currently, it will only work on the single objects, but that's okay. If you want to you want to modify the script so it works on multiple objects, feel free to do that. You can also turn it into like a node script in animation nodes or spreadshock. Anyway, run the script and done. You have these objects being divided into multiple slices. This is I found that a lot of effects you can do just by slicing this, and then because they are all grouped into single objects, we can just grab it and then have the effects happening. So it's kind of like a refill of the vertical lines. Like in this case, because it's a vertical cut, maybe plug this animation float number into the Y. So we have this effect. I think that's quite neat. You can also kind of rotate them. Oh, by the way, they currently have a noise. There's a number wiggle that I use here. The noise kind of randomize the creation of bar. If I don't use this random number, what's gonna happen is this. Let's see a look. We have like a directional kind of reveal. Okay, very nice. Slowly revealing the object. It's actually super simple. Apparently there's a sorting issue there. The sorting should be maybe in the X direction. Let's try speed it up. So this is like the reveal in the X directions because we sort each stripes using the XYZ 1000. If I use minus, it's gonna do the opposite. So I found this also really nice feature of animation nodes, being able to sort objects based on their positions in 3D. And since we are dealing only with a simple flat objects, except that they are being sliced, it's really simple to do. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Now I just want to explain the script a little bit. I'm not a programmer, not a coder, but I guess my skill is kind of still basics, but going intermediate level. But I try to imagine this script as a single node that does everything as we kind of set it up to. So, like I said, I source the script from here and try to understand the script, and basically the script, what it does is, first of all, it's toggling between object and edit mode. Remember, in order to do the slicing, we go to edit mode of the mesh. So, and then it's selecting the currently active object. So we need to select an object. So if you have multiple objects, the one that's active will be we're gonna work on that active object, not like a multiple. See, orange, orange, yellow. Yellow is the one that's gonna be subdivided. I can show you. Make a 20 cuts vertically. Run the script. So it works on only on that last selected object, which is the active object. Although it's kind of grouping this guy as well by accident because I select more than one object. Okay, that's probably just a little bug. Anyway, just select a single object. So I have to write here. Note only work on a single object. Currently active object. Or maybe I can also modify this so it works on multiple objects. But anyway, don't worry about that. So toggle objects, go to edit mode, and then this part basically I just copy paste from this Blender Stack Exchange. Thanks to the person writing the code. View 3D, fine, blah blah blah. It's dealing with View 3D because the way Blender works, wherever the mouse is, or sometimes you just want to work in the 3D view. If you run the script from this area, but you want to work here, so you need to deal with View 3D, I think. Anyways, continue on. There's this BPY ops mesh loop cut slide. This is the operators that does for the slicing for us. The important part is the number of cuts and then the edge index. I have not tried this into other objects like a cylinder, but it works really well on the plane anyway. The next thing, just split all the edges like we did manually, and then it's separate loose, separating the object into separate parts, and then toggle back into object mode. Set the origin into the center of each object, and then group it. Put into group with specified name. So that's what the script does, and you can run it in one go. And if you have many objects, just run it one by one, I guess, for now at least. So yeah, so it center each and every object, and then you can of course do all kind of neat effects. Not just scaling, you can also do other things. So currently it's just scaling. You can also maybe like rotate because they are centered. They have their pivot in the center. If you put the pivot on the left or on the right side, that can give you a nice effects, kind of like a bar, kind of like a, what do you call it, fading in from one of the side. But changing pivot in animation node still kind of confusing. You can use the pivot node, change matrix pivot, but that's I found a little bit tricky. Anyway, let's say instead of scaling we want to rotate and we want to apply it into this guy. Okay, the latest one we made, group number 6. Let's check it out. Okay, it's working on group number 6. Let's do rotation. Location will work as well. Rotation, it's a good idea to always initialize every objects. Always click here before you do anything, just in case, otherwise your objects might fly somewhere you don't want. Location, rotation, scale. Let's do something to the rotation. Animate Euler. So similar, we have this similar thing. We can just use the delay time into this guy, and start and the end. The end's always like 0, 0, 0. The start can be anything. If you want to apply a random vector, you can do that. So just plug this in there and plug this in to the, actually not random vector, maybe it will convert to Euler. Ah yeah, okay. Plug this into the Euler rotations and we have that effect. So at the start everything is random, but it's slowly it's gonna animate into the correct positions. Rotation 0, 0, 0. So that might be what you want. You can also just randomize it in one of the axes maybe. Let's not using random rotations, just let's use our own rotations. So at the start it can be rotated 90 degree in X, which is, so it's like a blind. So we have that effect. It can also rotate in a, what axis? Let's see. Y-axis. So it's doing a spin. Although you see the sorting, sorting is something you need to keep in mind. Sort it in y-axis, for example. Now it should rotate correctly from top bottom or bottom top. So bottom top. Spins and gets into position. Currently it's very linear because we didn't set the interpolation. Set it to back. It's gonna look much nicer. See, there's a overshoot of the animations and then settle. Very smooth. You can randomize the duration. That's with rotations. Currently it's it's very it's too simple, I guess. If you want to randomize it a little bit, like I said, you can use the wiggle, which is actually a noise number wiggle. Plug the index into the seed and you have this random number plug into this guy, and then now the rotation is slightly more random. It's still from the bottom to top, but there's some kind of noise influencing this. So we get that kind of randomness. Very nice. You can also shuffle the list here. So once you sort it, first always sort your objects and then shuffle it if you want. List, shuffle. Okay, now everything should be more random, and we have our refill kind of animations. I guess that's quite nice. So remember the bar. So just remember the script. I will probably put the script in my blog, and then I will put the Node 3 setup in my Facebook pages. So there's a Blender Sushi blog where I write a little bit of articles, and there's Facebook pages of the Blender Sushi as well. If you want to grab sometimes because with animation nodes, I can give you the blend files, but I guess this is more useful. This, yeah, I guess both can be useful. I try to save all the blends, but sometimes, you know, if the version changes, the blend maybe doesn't work. Anyway, this is yeah, this is the for today's example. It's really simple live noding, but I found that slicing, like just the idea of slicing mesh into pieces and then kind of turn it into like some kind of puzzle, or make it makes things more interesting, kind of like a reveal in a motion graphics kind of environment. And this is 3D, and we have a lot of possibilities. Okay, that's pretty much for this live noding. If you have any ideas or maybe something like a question that's related to this video, just let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next live noding. Thanks again for tuning in.